As the economy starts to get worse, I think people need to become more and more aware of what's really happening. Because something doesn't just jump out in front of you and all of a sudden the economy is crashing. It seems like that throughout history, market corrections, recessions, crashes, and depressions actually had a long time span of things going from good to not so good to bad and then to worse. And what just came out in the news was a surprise. It's a surprise. Treasury yields fell because there was a surprise decline in private payrolls, meaning that numbers went down. Things aren't as good as it seemed. But we just came out and found out what about 3 weeks ago that the government had misquoted the jobs amount in America by almost a million. It's the worst ever change in data when it comes to jobs in America's history. Now, for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been telling you that the market's going to go through some really bad times and to get ready. And I always said there's time. There's time to get ready. We never know when the event will happen because all you're waiting for is the government to come out and go, yep, we're screwed. We're in a recession. And then humans react. Most people can't see market cycles, the ups and the downs before they actually happen. And actually, then it's one thing to say, oh, yeah, I see it happening. It's a totally different thing to actually do something about it. Yet, Warren Buffett has been doing something about it for the last 4 years, and that's selling off slowly without causing a stock market panic most of Berkshire Hathaway's assets. Jamie Dimon, for the first time ever, has decided, and this was years ago, to sell his JP Morgan stock. And multiple CEOs, tons of CEOs around the country have been doing the same thing. Yet everyone mocks videos like, hey, it hasn't happened. Look, I still have a job. And you're like, AI is taking so many jobs right now. It's scary. Let's look at this story and let's decipher it, and then talk about what you can actually do, actionable steps. It said Treasury yields fell Wednesday, and everyone wants that, right? They want interest rates to go down. They're begging to not get a good rate of return in their bank. They want interest rates to go down. Why? Because their credit card interest goes down, their mortgage interest, anything, their student loan interest, anything that's attached to the crap they want to do right now that they can't afford, they're begging for it to go down. But I've been saying for years, it only goes down when things are bad. And if you're not ready for it, you're going to be sitting on the sidelines while people like me and type one, if you're ready for this and you have cash on the side, you've gotten out of debt, and you're going to freaking scoop up every deal in the world, whether that be stocks on the cheap, real estate for cheap. There's so many assets you're going to be picking up for cheap. And you're going to be sitting on the sideline if you're not one of the people right now typing one. So Treasury yields fell Wednesday after new data showed a surprise decline. Bull crap. These guys on Wall Street know. That's why they're selling off their stocks. They're selling off real estate and all that kind of stuff. In private payrolls, while traders monitored the consequences of government shutdown, well, those morons, just in the government, they ain't broke. And they don't care that the government shut down. And trust me, they love a good stock market crash. It blows me away when the average American sits there and goes, why would they want everything to crash? Don't they understand? If fuel goes up because of a policy, they're going to pay higher fuel. If inflation gets worse, they're going to have to pay higher amounts for meat. They don't care. They're way richer than you. It's one big club and you're not in it. Unless you go and become wealthy, you ain't in it. How many people have to go bankrupt around you? How many people have to be indoctrinated where they turn into complete zombies before you decide, you know what, enough's enough? I need to break out of this matrix. And the only way to do it is through wealth. And if for 1 second you think that being humble is the same as being poor, then you know what? There's some organized religion that man has put up in front of you to worship them and not the real God that they've convinced you. You are straight up wrong. Guys, type yes or no if you agree with that. So let's go back to the payrolls because it was obviously a surprise. Separately, who cares about the Supreme Court says. The 10-year Treasury traded more than 4 basis points lower at 4.1%. The 30-year bond lost 2 points at 4.7%. 1 basis point equals 0.01. Whatever, we don't need that crap. Okay, cool. Mortgage rates are going to fall a little bit, right? Is that going to help you? Is lowering the mortgage rates this much going to help you? Type yes or no if it's going to. You better be typing no. It says numbers out on Wednesday continue to show a softening job market. Don't you like how they do that? They don't want the plebs to understand what's really going on. Private payrolls declined by 32,000 in September, according to the ADP. You know, every single person working at the ADP should be stinking fired. They've failed us. Economists polled by Dow Jones expected an increase of 45,000. Weird. So not only are they're complete morons, they're way beyond, they're delusional. They went from, hey, we should be adding 45,000 to losing 32. August payrolls were also revised to show a loss of 3,000. Yeah. You know, my whole life, I spent it trying to help people become successful. And I got really jaded trying to help family and friends when in all reality, I was the richest person they ever knew. Trying to help them, when I was in my 20s and my 30s and in my 40s, showing them how to invest, showing them why it's important to live beneath your means for a time. And actually, I still live beneath my means. I only spend between 1 and 3% of my monthly income on whatever. Like you've seen me, buy that latest car. I've told, there are people that I know that said I would never buy it unless I could buy it with one day's income, right? So when a really good day comes, I go, okay, I'm going to go reward myself. So I still live way beneath my means. And to be honest with you, what do we need in life? You know what I mean? Uh, and I became really jaded, and I started to understand why some of the people I despise, honestly, I owe them an apology because I know what they're going through. When you get into financial education, you truly try and help people. 9 out of 10 people are complete fools. They're fools. They love to live in their folly. They love to um, make themselves believe that they're okay and everything's okay. And this is why we have market booms and busts, because market booms are created through greed. Greed is what drives these booms. This is why in crypto you see completely moronic things like meme coins uh, skyrocket when real projects aren't, because and I hang out with insanely influential wealthy people, and that's not bragging, it's just the truth. And we all get it, right? Markets booms are created through greed. Market crashes are created through fear. And you have not experienced the fear portion yet. In 2007, the stock market peaked in what was it, June of 2006 or 2007, and the index has started to trade a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower. Now, what's happening right now is different because our stock market's hitting these all-time highs because of inflation, not because our companies are making more money. Sure, they show sometimes on their reports, hey, we brought in more revenue. It's because they're charging consumers more. It's like the GDP. You've got just moronic, insanely foolish, social media kids out there talking about how the economy's doing good. You should buy the S&P 500 index because the GDP is up. Yeah. Do you know what comprises the GDP? First off, government spending, which is completely reckless. Those guys couldn't get out of I'm not going to, you got to be nice. They're not very good at budgets. So a lot of it's created on government spending. And secondly, cost of goods sold. Well, when you have inflation, your GDP numbers actually rise. But what that's not telling most people is when you are having to spend more money on a gallon of milk, meat, beef, eggs, things like that, your insurance costs are going up. Yeah, they're all making more money on a dollar basis. But what's happening is the consumer is getting tapped out. And now jobs, and I said that's your bellwether right there, the jobs reports. Well, they just came out and said, "Hey, we've been lying to you for the last 4 years." Well, yeah, we gotta be nice. Last 4 years, we've had quite a tyrannical government. And the thing is, it's going to come crashing down during our current administration. And because most people don't understand how economics work, they're going to blame the current administration. And yeah, do I agree with the big, beautiful bill? No, there ain't nothing beautiful about it. The only thing it is big. It's creating a bunch of money just to try and put a band aid on this one. But I'm going to be honest with you, there's no putting a band aid on this. The truth is, there are less coders today working in America than there were 10 years before the internet debuted with AOL. What does that tell you? So AI is canceling so many jobs, and it's not always just the people getting laid off, which if you just type in layoffs and hit the all, news button in Google, you're going to see stories of companies laying off, 5, 10, 15% of their employees. And a lot of it's going underreported because why? If CNBC starts reporting on that, people start getting more pessimistic about the economy. And so they stop spending because most people are, I'm not joking, they're fools, they're sheep. And if you look in the comment section, someone's going to say, "Stop calling us fools." That is actually the fool. You know what? If you don't understand that you're not a fool, you're the one that thinks you're being called a fool when someone like me says fools are complete sheep that just run around buying up things like Beanie Baby because they think they're going to be worth something later on. And yeah, for a while they are. But jobs is your bellwether. And you look, and it's not only that this was a surprise. It was supposed to be up 45,000 and now it's down 32,000. Last month, they sit there and they go, "Hey, there's actually a loss of 3,000 jobs. We revised it." Think about this. Last August, they came out and said, "We're up 54,000 jobs. We're up 54,000 jobs." And they just came out and they said, "Hey, we got to revise that to actually -3," which means there was a difference of 57,000 misreported jobs. Please understand how serious this is. Now, this isn't, you know what? No, screw it. This is supposed to cause a panic inside of you. If you're out spending money on your credit card and you can't pay the entire bill off at the end of this month, you have got problems and you need to rectify them now. Or then you straight up deserve what's coming to you. And I'm sure there's gonna be someone, "You don't know how hard it is. I can't find a job. I could barely make it." Yeah, you know what? You're talking to a dude that works 7 days a week for the last 20 years. Not only full-time firefighting, being away from my family for between 72 and 96 hours a week, living at the fire station. I ran multiple businesses. I worked 7 days a week. You have zero excuse. Can anyone type 100 if you agree with that? Nobody has an excuse. The only difference between me and you, if you aren't where you want to be, is hard work. I want people to wake up and sense and taste what being out of debt feels like, because then that has completely unshackled you. And then we got to go and help other people. But you can't help as being a firefighter. We always, you see people, us running into a burning building. It's probably one of the funnest things about the job. That and technical rescue, going off the side of a hill on a rock or something like that. That kind of crap's fun, right? And everyone sees that, but you have to understand that all firefighters, we always know we have to save ourselves first, and we can't go in. We've got to mitigate that risk before we even take that chance, unless there's a life that we believe that we can grab. Because if something happens to us and the house caves in on our whole engine company, there's no one to save the other people. So what looks on the outside like these amazingly courageous acts, just half of us are scared pissless as we do it. You got to be a total nutball to not understand that stuff. But when what you're not realizing is that we're here to the first thing is firefighter safety on an emergency, because if something happens to us, who's going to save the people, right? Law enforcement think the exact same thing. So you need to be protecting yourself right now, because if you don't, financially, what's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to your family? And if you aren't safe yourself, then how can you help other people with money to feed people? Because not everyone's going to get this. Guys, can I get an amen if you agree with this? Because that's what this is about. It's not just about becoming financial free. It's changing the world and helping people. There's always going to be women, widows, orphans, children that need to be fed, that need to be clothed. But if you can't feed and clothe yourself without using a credit card, how are you going to go out and help those people? You are seeing right now the economy deteriorating rapidly. It's going to lead to a downturn in interest rates, which everyone's begged for. But just remember, the Fed's not going to do it until you are crying, begging. The market will be screaming for lower rates, just like they did in 2008. So you're going to see more deterioration. The only question is, what are you going to do to get out of it? I want you scooping up real estate at rock bottom prices. You're going to see over a 50% creating in real estate prices by the time this is done. In the Lake Tahoe area, they're already down 30%. Inventory is exploding all over the world. Oh, sorry, the nation. You're going to see this. If you don't see it right now, you need to wake up and start looking. And hopefully you take advantage of it. Hope you got something out of this. The Economic Ninja is out.